Good morning everyone. Today we are going to start the topic photosynthesis. This is also the topic which you are studying in class 10 and you are going to give in your bio paper. So you will be benefited with this topic. That is why I am starting this topic in class 11 first of all. So let's start it. So in photosynthesis, we know that the raw materials are water and carbon dioxide, then sunlight and the pigments. The pigments are chlorophyll, A, B, C, D, E, then bacteriochlorophyll, then the second type of pigments are carotenoids, and the third type of pigments are phycobilins. Now, the main pigment is the chlorophyll, and that is also chlorophyll A and B, which is taking part in the process of photosynthesis. So if we see the structure of chlorophyll, the chlorophyll is made of two parts, the head and the tail, that is the phytol tail. So head is the porphyrin head, and the tail is made of phytol tail as a side chain. So if we see the difference between the chlorophyll A and B, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, if we see the differences are, now structure I will be telling you later. First of all, we will be seeing the difference between chlorophyll A and B. So in chlorophyll A at position R, methyl group is found. And in chlorophyll B at position R, aldehyde group is found. Aldehyde group is found. Then second difference is they appear bluish green in chromatogram. Now chromatogram is the graph which shows the different wavelengths the different pigments are absorbing. So in chromatogram it will be showing the bluish green color absorbing, and chlorophyll B will be showing the olive green color. Then in reflected light, it appears red in color, and this appears brownish red. In transmitted light, this appears bright green in color, and this appears yellowish green. Now, in structure of chlorophyll, the magnesium is the main component, and to this magnesium the ring of iron nitrogen are attached. So this is the nitrogen, it is attached like this. There will be two rings here. So this will be the first ring, this is the second ring, this is the third ring, this one is fourth ring, and this one is fifth ring. And if we see the numbering of the carbon atom in this is first carbon atom, this is second, then third, fourth, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And to the third carbon atom, the R group is attached, which is the methyl group in chlorophyll A and aldehyde group in chlorophyll B. The whole structure will be the same in A and B both, only the difference will be there on the third carbon, that is the R group, where the in the chlorophyll A methyl group is present and in chlorophyll B aldehyde group is present. So this is the porphyrin head. In which 1 to 4 is the pyrrole ring, and the fifth one is the glycopentanone ring. Glycopentanone ring. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. This will be making the porphyrin pyrrole ring, and the fifth one will be making the pentanone ring, and they together will make the head of the chlorophyll molecule, and this is in this way. Then on the 7th carbon, the 20 carbon atom will be attached like this. 20 carbon atoms will be attached on the 7th position in the chain form, and this is called as the hydrocarbon chain. So this is only necessary to know that which are the components of head and which are the components of the tail. So this is called as the phytol tail. Now in the carotenoids, structure is not in your syllabus, only we are required to know about the formula. So carotenoids are of two types. A is the carotene. The formula is C40H56 and it appears orange red in color. The another carotenoid is xanthophyll. The formula is C40H56O2. They appear yellowish brown. Example is fucoxanthin, and lutein. Then the phycobilins, these are found in blue-green algae. They are phycocyanin, which are giving purple color, and phycoerythrin, which are giving red color. Now in their structure there will be no magnesium and no phytol chain. Now one more thing we have to note here, that chlorophyll A is important because it acts as a reaction center where the actual reaction is taking place in the photosynthesis, and other chlorophylls and other pigments are the accessory pigments. They help in the process of photosynthesis because they are absorbing the different wavelengths, and they are absorbing these wavelengths of the light and transferring it to the main chlorophyll A, that is the reaction center. So all other pigments are the accessory pigments. Now, site of the photosynthesis is the green leaf. So if we draw the structure of the green leaf and its transverse section we are cutting, we will be seeing the structure of the green leaf like this. This is the lower epidermis, this is the upper epidermis, this is cuticle. Then in the lower epidermis there will be the stomata, then in the center there will be the vascular bundle containing the xylem and the phloem. Then in the upper layer there will be the palisade parenchyma. One or two layer. Then there will be the spongy parenchyma. There will be the stomatal apparatus, stomatal, substomatal area, etc. So why we this will be the lower epidermis. This is the xylem and the phloem. This is the substomatal space. And these are the stomata. So why we call it mesophyll tissue? Because it is in between the cells of the leaf. Now fill means leaf, and these are the in between, these are the cells between two epidermal layers. So we call them mesophyll cells. And in the mesophyll cells, because upper layer is exposed to the sun, so the chloroplast, as we know that chloroplast is dividing when they are exposed to sun. So they multiply in number. So that is why the upper layer, that is the palisade parenchyma, has the large number of chloroplast in them. Then if we see the structure of the chloroplast, we have already studied this structure. So it is a double membrane structure and it contains the stacks of thylakoids called granum. These are the thylakoids. And these are the lamellae, which are connecting the granum. Then these are the space called stroma. These are the lamellae. So if we see one thylakoid, it is its membrane is made like this, enclosing the lumen here, and this lumen is also filled with watery fluid, and in this lumen the chlorophyll pigments and other pigments are found in the membrane. So this is the lumen filled with aqueous solution, and in the membrane of the thylakoid there will be the chlorophyll pigments. And other pigments are also there. Now, thylakoid is the site, this membrane of the thylakoid, this is the site of light reaction. And stroma is the site of, you can say, the dark reaction. So as we know that photosynthesis completes in two stages, the light reaction and the dark reaction. Now light reaction is also called as Hill reaction or photosensitive reaction, or it can also be called as photophosphorylation. So the site of light reaction is what? The thylakoid membrane, which contains chlorophyll pigments in them. Now, the types of chloroplasts are also there. Two types of chloroplasts are there. That is why chloroplasts are called as the dimorphic chloroplasts. So these dimorphic chloroplasts, why we call them? Because some of the chloroplasts which are found in granum and the other chloroplasts which are found not in the granum. So they exhibit two types of chloroplasts. Then among the factors of photosynthesis, we have studied that the photosynthesis is affected by temperature, carbon dioxide concentration, the amount of light, the quality of light and the type of light. So all these factors are there. So among those factors, if we see the light factor, then the light factor is considered among the quality of light, then because of the quality of light there are two types of spectrums found: action spectrum and the absorption spectrum. Now, different pigments, we have seen that different pigments are there which are helping in the process of photosynthesis. So these pigments are chlorophyll A, B, C, D, then the phycobilins, then carotenoids, xanthophylls, etc. So these pigments are absorbing different wavelengths of the light, and that is why because chlorophyll A is the pigment which is absorbing the light which is necessary for the process of photosynthesis. Rest all the pigments are absorbing the light which are not accurate for the process of photosynthesis. So that is why we call them the accessory pigments. Now absorption spectrum is the spectrum which we get in the graph. If we see them in the graph, different pigments, the amount of light which they are absorbing. So this absorption spectrum is telling us, is giving us the idea how much light, how much wavelength different pigments are absorbing. So various pigments are absorbing different wavelengths of light, and if we graph them, we find these wavelengths being absorbed by different pigments by the help of spectrophotometer. And by spectrophotometer we get the graph, and by studying this graph we can say which pigment absorbs which amount of light and which range of the light, which wavelength of the light, which we are going. So now I am going to draw the graph here. So suppose this is the graph I am going to draw here, and suppose this black color I am showing the chlorophyll A, and here this is the wavelength I am writing 400 nanometer, then 500, then 600 and 700, and these wavelengths are falling between Vibgyor. So suppose this is the violet, indigo, then blue, then green, then yellow, then orange, and then red. So we can say that the wavelengths which are falling between 400 nanometer, they may be violet and indigo. Falling between blue and green, there will be 500. Then yellow and orange, it will be 600, and then red, it will be 700 nanometer. So if we see the graph of chlorophyll A, we will be seeing that maximum absorption by chlorophyll A is being done at the wavelength which is coming in the blue area of the Vibgyor. Then it is falling down, and again it is showing the steep rise when it is falling in the red wavelength. So we can say that chlorophyll A is absorbing the wavelength between blue and red. So maximum photosynthesis by chlorophyll A takes place between the wavelength, the light quality of light between blue and red. So it may be asked the question that in which light the photosynthesis is maximum. So we can say that it is maximum in blue and red light. Then if we see the other graphs, suppose chlorophyll B, I am drawing with the red color. So chlorophyll B is also a little bit similar. It will be showing only a little shift from this graph, and little bit it will be shifting, and it is showing the similar but little bit towards the indigo and towards the more higher range of the red light. Then I am drawing the carotenoids with green color. So carotenoids are ranging from indigo then it is going little higher to this, but not much absorption it is taking place in any of the light. Then phycobilins, they also not show much absorption. So what we can see from this graph, the maximum absorption is taking place in these two peaks which are shown by chlorophyll A. Then little bit equivalent are the chlorophyll B, but they are not absorbing the light in the visible light area, that is the blue and red area. So maximum absorption of the light and the most successful photosynthesis takes place in the wavelength between blue and red. Now, action spectrum. The action spectrum tells us that what will be the effect of the absorption of different wavelengths by different pigments and how they are acting due to these wavelengths. So this was proved by the experiment by the Engelmann. Engelmann was a scientist. He gave the experiment, and in this experiment what he did, he took water in a trough, and in this trough he had grown the green alga, and this green alga was exposed to the 7 colors of the light. So what he observed, that the wavelength of blue light and the red light, in this wavelength there were maximum bubbles coming from the alga, whereas in the other wavelengths of the light the bubbles were not that much coming. Very few bubbles or no bubbles were coming in this region, but in the region of blue and red light there were more bubbles. So then it was considered that due to the process of maximum photosynthesis taking place in the red quality and blue quality of light by the green alga, it was considered that the maximum photosynthesis takes place in the blue and red color light. Now, before we start the process of photosynthesis, we are required to know the quantasomes. What are the quantasomes? These are the energy absorbing molecules. This is a complex which is made by the pigments of different wavelengths, absorbing different wavelengths, and they make a photosynthetic unit. So quantasome is actually a photosynthetic unit, and it is made of, it is a collection of pigments. So now, if we consider chlorophyll, we know that chlorophyll A is the main pigment which is responsible for the process of photosynthesis, and we consider it as the reaction center. So chlorophyll A will be the central pigment, and other pigments will be helping it. Accessory pigments are there, and they make the quantasome. So these are the accessory pigments which are associated with the quantasome, and this is the action center. Chlorophyll A is the action center. So it is also called as the antenna complex. Now what happens when sunlight falls on this? The sunlight forms into the form of energy packets. We call them photons. So photons are the unit of light energy packets, and in the form of photons the light is absorbed by the pigments. So when the light is falling on these pigments, the light is absorbed by all these pigments. It is transferred to the next level pigments and next level pigments, and then all these pigments transfer the light to the chlorophyll like this. So all these molecules, they transfer the energy of light by absorbing the sunlight. So all these are transferring their energy which they absorb from the sun. So they will absorb light energy, they will release electrons. These electrons will be given to the next level, to the next pigment, and then they will be giving, finally all these electrons will be given to the chlorophyll pigment. Now when the chlorophyll pigment will get sufficient amount of energy passed by these accessory pigments, it will get excited and it will release 2 electrons at a time, and these 2 electrons are accepted by electron acceptor, which is a molecule placed at high energy level. So this molecule is having a high energy level. So this is the quantasome, which is responsible for the we can say the photolysis of water, or we can say light reaction of the photosynthesis. Now pigment systems are there which are responsible for the process of light reaction, or we can also say photophosphorylation of the process of photosynthesis. Now pigment system concept was given by Emerson, and he proposed 2 types of pigment systems, that is pigment system 1 and pigment system 2. We write them like this, PS1 and PS2, and we can also write in this form, that is the P700, P680. Now P700 means this chlorophyll molecule absorbs 700 nanometer wavelength of the light, and this chlorophyll molecule absorbs 680 nanometer of the wavelength of the light. Now suppose the sunlight falls on it, that is the photons are falling on it, it will be absorbed by the pigments here. They are absorbing the sunlight. All these pigments, they will be absorbing the sunlight. They will be transferring it to the chlorophyll A molecule. Now after sufficient energy is transferred to this reaction center, so this will be called as the reaction center, and these are the accessory pigments, and this is called as the antenna complex. This is the sunlight energy in the form of photons. The similar is here also. The sunlight will fall on it in the form of photons, and it will be transferred like this to the chlorophyll A, and it will get excited, when it will get sufficient amount of energy transferred by the pigments, accessory pigments. So, now these two pigments are working together for the process of light reaction or photophosphorylation. Now, once this pigment chlorophyll A gets excited, it releases 2 electrons. When this releases 2 electrons, it is accepted by the electron acceptor. We call it PEP. That is the PEA, primary electron acceptor. Primary electron acceptor. Here also, when this will get excited, it will release 2 electrons, and it will also be accepted by the PEA, primary electron acceptor. Now, this primary electron acceptor is having the high energy level. Then this electron, which is received by the primary electron acceptor, it is passed on to the lower levels, and here also there are the electron acceptors. So this will be studying when we are studying the phosphorylation, or we can say photophosphorylation. So just now I have told about the pigment system 1 and pigment system 2. So what are there in the pigment system 1? Pigment system difference is what only? The pigment system 1 contains the chlorophyll A molecule, which is absorbing the wavelength of 700 nanometer, and in pigment system 2 it will be absorbing the wavelength of 680 nanometer. Now, in the process of photosynthesis, there will be 2 steps. One is the light dependent reaction or light reaction. We also call it Hill reaction. Or it is also called as photophosphorylation. That is the synthesis of ATP molecule. Then the second step is dark reaction or light independent reaction. It is also called as Calvin cycle or C3 cycle. So first of all, we will see the light reaction or photophosphorylation. So in the photophosphorylation, there are 2 types of photophosphorylation. One is non-cyclic and the other is cyclic. So first of all, non-cyclic photophosphorylation will be seen. In this photophosphorylation, both the pigment systems are involved, and we know that where these pigment systems are there, these are found in the membranes of thylakoid. So when the sunlight falls on the chloroplast, it is absorbed by the pigments, accessory pigments, and they are sending the energy of light to the reaction center, that is chlorophyll A. Now, chlorophyll A will be of this type in this, first of all, in the photophosphorylation. First of all, the pigment system 2 will be involved. So here we will be writing 680, and this will be also P680, and this is pigment system 2. So first of all, pigment system 2 will be there, and then after that pigment system 1 will be there. That is 700, and this is P700 or PS1. So first of all, pigment system 2 is involved. The wavelength in the form of photons will be found here, and the chlorophyll A of the wavelength 680 will get excited when it will be getting the energy from accessory pigments, and it will release the electron pair. These electron pair will be accepted by primary electron acceptor. Then this primary electron acceptor, it is at the high energy level. This is the high, it is at the high energy level, means it is having, these are also found in the membrane of the thylakoid only. So these compounds, these are also found in the membrane of thylakoid. So primary electron acceptor is the having the highest energy. So it will be receiving these electrons released by the pigment system 2. Then it will be transferring these electrons to the next lower energy electron acceptor, that is the PQ. Now PQ is the full form I am writing here, or I am writing here only, plastoquinone. So from this the electrons will be transferred to plastoquinones. Now from the plastoquinone, the electrons will be again transferred to the next lower energy level, that is the cytochrome complex. Cytochrome complex. Then from cytochrome complex, this will be passed on to another lower energy level, that is the plastocyanin. Then from plastocyanin, these electrons will be passed on to the chlorophyll of the P700, that is pigment system 1. These are also absorbing the photons when exposed to sunlight, and these energy of light is passed on to the chlorophyll A. So this will release a pair of electrons. So it will be having the deficit of electrons here. So this deficit is fulfilled by 2 electrons coming from pigment system 2. Okay. So these electrons which are released from here, this will be fulfilled by the electron coming from pigment system 2 via all these electron acceptors. So its deficit will be completed. Then this electron will be again accepted by primary electron acceptor of this pigment system. Then it will be passed on to again lower energy level, that is ferredoxin. This is FD, I am writing full form here, ferredoxin. Then this ferredoxin will release these electrons, and this energy of electrons will be used by NADP to combine with the hydrogen ions to form NADPH2 in the presence of enzyme NADP reductase. Now we can ask that from where the hydrogen ions are being released for NADP to be combined, and what will happen to the electrons lost by this pigment system. So from where this pigment system which has lost the electrons, it will be getting the electrons fulfilled. So for that, the photolysis of water takes place. So it is being replaced by photolysis of water. What happens? The light energy falls on the water molecule and it gets split into two electrons, two hydrogen ions and one oxygen atom, that is the nascent oxygen. This nascent oxygen will make oxygen and it will be given out. This electron which is formed by the photolysis of water, this will be given to pigment system 2 to fulfill the loss of electron. And these hydrogen ions, they will be accepted by the NADP, and with the help of energy of 2 electrons released by pigment system 1, this NADP will combine with hydrogen ions given by photolysis of water, and in the presence of NADP reductase, it will be forming NADPH2, or we can write NADPH and H. Now this H, why we write separately? Because this H will combine with other H to form water molecule. So this is how the mechanism of photosynthesis takes place. Now because it is the photophosphorylation, so means that we are finding somewhere the synthesis of ATP also. So I am rubbing these names. I hope you all have written the full forms. So I am rubbing it here. Now, what happens when the electrons are passing from cytochrome complex to plastocyanin? What happens? It is releasing the energy, because it is whenever the electrons passes from high energy level to low energy level, always the energy is being released. So here also the energy is being released, and this energy is utilized for the formation of ATP. Means this energy is utilized to combine ADP with inorganic phosphate to form the ATP molecule. So at this place, at this level, when the electrons are passing from one electron acceptor to the other electron acceptor, when it is passing through cytochrome complex, the ATP molecule is synthesized. Now, why we call it non-cyclic photophosphorylation? Because the electrons which are released from pigment system 2, they pass through different electron acceptors, go into pigment system 1, then again pass through electron acceptors, and then finally reach into NADPH. But they are not returning back to chlorophyll A of pigment system 2. So they are requiring the electrons from outside, that is by the photolysis of water, to fulfill the loss of electrons. So because the electrons are not passing, coming back to the pigment system in the process of synthesis of ATP, so we call it non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Now, the cyclic photophosphorylation. In cyclic photophosphorylation, only pigment system 1 is involved. So in pigment system 1, what happens, and this is found in this pigment system 1 is found, photophosphorylation, cyclic photophosphorylation is found in the stroma lamellae. Found in stroma lamellae. It involves only pigment system 1 and splitting of water, that is the photolysis of water, is not required in this. So let's see what happens here. Again, when the light energy in the form of photon falls on the pigment system 1, the SS3 pigments will transfer the energy to chlorophyll A of P700. Then chlorophyll A will get excited, it will release the electron pair. This electron pair is accepted by primary electron acceptor, that is at the high energy level. Then these electrons will pass into the lower energy level acceptors. So this electron passes to ferredoxin, and again while passing to ferredoxin, it is releasing the energy, and this energy is utilized by the ADP to combine with inorganic phosphate to form the energy molecule, that is the ATP. Then these electrons when pass into plastoquinone, then the plastoquinone will pass these electrons to cytochrome complex. Again at this level, the energy will be released, which is utilized by the ADP to join with inorganic phosphate to form ATP. And the electrons will pass to plastocyanin, and then plastocyanin will pass these electrons back to the pigment system 1. So because the electrons which are released, they are coming back to the system, so it is also called as cyclic photophosphorylation. And because the electrons are coming back to this system, so there is no need to get the electrons from photolysis of water. So that is why these three things are not required, means this is found in the stroma lamellae, where only pigment system 1 is found, and the pigment system 1 and 2 both, they are found in the thylakoid lamellae. Then pigment system 1 is only required, then no requirement of photolysis of water. So this is all about today's session, and I hope you all have understood it. Again, I am telling you all, when you are listening to the video, observing the video, you sit with a copy and pen of your classwork copy, go on writing all the thing which I am saying, or I am writing on the board, and go on drawing all the diagrams, everything which I draw here, because the notes are very necessary. Otherwise, if you will try to study from the book, it is going to take a lot of time to understand, and it is very complicated also to understand from the book. Okay, thank you.